Greetings, fellow mathematicians. Let's talk about place value. Our place value system was created by the Hindus between 300 and 500 CE. Other civilizations were also using place value systems, but it's the Hindu system based on base 10 that has spread around the world. When the Hindus invented the place value system, they started with the first value of 1 because 1 is the first whole number. They then multiplied by 10 to get the value of the next column, 10. They multiplied by 10 to get the value of the next column, 100. They multiplied by 10 to get the value of the next column, 1,000, and so on. To get the value of the columns to the right, they divided by 10. Now, they could have gone either way, but they decided to multiply by 10 going to the left and divide by 10 going to the right. There's no mathematical reason for this, it's just what they decided to do. In fact, the Mayans decided to make rows rather than columns for their number system, which was based on base 20. By about 500 CE, the number system had spread up towards the Arabic countries. It there remained in the Arabic countries and along the top of Africa, which were also Arabic countries, until about 1200 CE. Finally, it made it into the bottom of Spain, which then made it into Europe, and the Europeans finally adopted the base 10 Hindu-Arabic number system. Once it was adopted by the Europeans, it was the Europeans and the Arabic mathematicians who decided to continue the number system to include fractions, because up until then we had a whole number system based on place value, and we had fractions written using the numerator and the denominator, which of course we still have. So they decided to divide 1 by 10 to get a tenth. If they multiplied a tenth by 10, they got 1. Divide a tenth by 10 to get a hundredth, and so on. So it wasn't until about 1500 that the decimals were actually invented. At this time they realised that the lowest column not being the ones column anymore, it was important to know which column was the ones column. So that was when they decided to create some kind of mark to show where the ones column was. They tried all kinds of different marks. Finally, the English settled on a dot and the Europeans settled on a comma. Now, following this, people like Newton and Leibniz created calculus. If we had not extended the place value number system to include decimals, they wouldn't have been able to do this, because basically the calculus is the study of very, very small things. So how do children learn place value? In the first year of school, year 1 and year 2, children learn place value additively. This means that they're adding the values of the digits to make the value of the whole number. They investigate place value using standard place value and non-standard place value. Standard place value simply means naming the values of the columns. In the first year of schooling, children investigate place value informally. In year 1 and 2, they begin to investigate the place value of teen numbers and 2-digit numbers and 3-digit numbers. They investigate the place value of 10 and 100 as well. They investigate place value additively in these grades. Additively because they're adding the values of the digits to get the value of the number. They're investigating place value using standard and non-standard place value. So standard place value is just naming the values of the digits. So for example, in 24, the values of the digits are 2 10s and 4 1s. They also investigate non-standard place value. So for example, in 24, we could break 1 10 into 10 1s, which is going to mean that 24 is 1 10 and 14 1s. We can then break the other 10 into 10 1s, and now we can have 24 is 24 1s. Children also look at 10 in 2 ways, as in 1 10 and 10 1s, and they investigate 100 in 3 ways. 100 is 100, 10 10s, and 100 1s. Seeing 100 as 10 10s is really important to allow them to add and subtract tens numbers and 2-digit numbers without counting by ones. They also learn to count by tens, forwards and backwards, on and off the decade, with deep understanding of which digit changes and which digit doesn't change and why. So when we count forwards or backwards by tens, we're adding 110. We're not adding any ones, we're not subtracting any ones. So the ones digit is never going to change, the tens digit will change. In years 3 to 6, the children start to investigate place value multiplicatively. So this means that they start to investigate the way the Hindus invented the place value system to be multiplying by 10 as we go up in columns and to be dividing by 10 as we come down in columns. This is vital understanding so that children can understand why the value of the first decimal is tenths, because we started with 1 and we divided it by 10. This links to the meaning of the denominator in fractions. They then continue their investigation of decimals by continuing to divide by 10, and they continue to multiply by 10 until they can understand our decimal place value system to numbers of any size. They continue to investigate numbers using place value, using standard and non-standard place value. So even with decimals. So example 3.1 would be 3 ones and 1/10. And it's also could be 2 ones and 11 tenths, 1 1 and 21 tenths, or it could be 31 tenths. So they continue that investigation of non-standard place value as well. Now the other thing that they investigate is the link between multiplicative place value and metric measurement. Metric measurement was created round about 1700. And it was based completely on place value.